Humanity has successfully established itself as the dominant military power in the galaxy, she wrote. More importantly, it has used that dominance to create a more stable and prosperous galactic civilization. However, maintaining this balance will require constant vigilance and wisdom. She paused in her writing, looking out at the busy docking bays of Nexus Prime. Human and alien ships worked side by side, loading cargo and passengers for destinations across the galaxy. The galaxy that feared us now depends on us, she continued. That's both an opportunity and a responsibility. Captain Helen Cruz, now commanding the Galactic Supply Service, coordinated the distribution of goods and resources across member worlds. Her massive cargo ships could deliver emergency supplies to any world in the galaxy within days. We're not just traders anymore, she told her staff. We're the circulatory system of galactic civilization. Her ships carried more than cargo. They carried the promise that no member world would face crisis alone. The final scene of this transformation played out in the Galactic Naval Academy's graduation ceremony. Captain Tony Garcia watched as young officers from 15 different species took their oaths of service. I swear to protect the peace and prosperity of all galactic civilizations, they recited together. I will serve with honor, courage, and wisdom. Among the graduates were the children of species that had once raided human colonies. Now they swore to protect human worlds alongside their own. Admiral Patterson received the invitation to address the graduates. He looked out at the mixed crowd of young faces, human and alien, all committed to serving a galaxy that had learned to work together. When humanity first emerged into galactic civilization, he said, we were motivated by fear of being weak, fear of being vulnerable, fear of being alone. We built a fleet that could protect us from any threat. He paused, looking at the mixed crowd of graduates. But protection was only the beginning. True security comes not from being feared, but from being valued. You represent the future of this galaxy, a future where strength serves peace, where different species work together, and where no one has to face the darkness alone. The graduates stood and applauded, their different forms of expression creating a symphony of approval that echoed across species lines. Later that day, Admiral Patterson stood on the observation deck of his flagship, watching the busy traffic around Nexus Prime. Human ships worked alongside vessels from dozens of alien civilizations, all part of the same great enterprise. The galaxy had gone silent when humanity arrived. Now it hummed with the sound of cooperation, trade, and shared purpose. 500,000 human dreadnoughts had appeared to change everything, but in the end, it was the relationships built afterward that transformed the galaxy forever. In the distance, construction lights marked the progress of the great shipyard. Soon it would be complete, a symbol of the galaxy's new unity and shared strength. The age of fear was over. The age of cooperation had begun. 1 year after the Great Fleet's arrival, Admiral Jake Patterson stood in the Grand Assembly Hall of Nexus Prime. Around him sat representatives from every major civilization in the galaxy, all waiting to sign the historic Nexus Accords. The document was simple but revolutionary. It formally recognized humanity as the galaxy's newest major power, with all the rights and responsibilities that came with that status. More importantly, it established humanity as the guarantor of galactic peace. This is a new beginning for all of us, Jake said as he placed his signature on the treaty. We offer our strength in service of stability, our technology in service of progress, and our friendship to all who seek peace. Ambassador Kexathara signed next, her hands shaking slightly. The Zephyrian collective had been among the most frightened when humans first arrived. Now they were among humanity's strongest supporters. "We welcome our human neighbors," she said formally. "May this alliance bring prosperity to all species." One by one, the other representatives signed. The Altarian Empire, the Crystal Worlds Federation, the Galactic Trade Federation, dozens of smaller governments and independent worlds. Captain Lisa Martinez watched the ceremony from the observation gallery. She had been promoted to Commodore and now commanded the Outer Rim Defense Force, a mixed fleet of human and alien vessels working together to patrol the galaxy's frontier regions. "Hard to believe it's only been a year," said her aide, Lieutenant Sam Cooper. Lisa nodded. "Sometimes the galaxy changes faster than anyone expects." Below them, the signing continued. Each signature represented a world or civilization that had chosen cooperation over conflict. The alternative, everyone knew, was unthinkable. Dr. Amy Foster stood in her new laboratory aboard Nexus Prime, working with alien scientists from 12 different species. Her research into human-alien cooperation had become the foundation for a new field of study. "The key insight," she explained to her mixed team of researchers, "is that strength doesn't have to mean domination. Humans became powerful to protect themselves, not to rule others." Dr. Klexon, the crystalline scientist from the Crystal Worlds, flickered with patterns of agreement. "Your species has taught us that true security comes from being too strong to challenge, not from challenging others." Amy smiled. "Now you're thinking like a human." The economic transformation of the galaxy continued at an incredible pace. Human manufacturing techniques had increased productivity on member worlds by an average of 300%. Piracy had dropped to almost zero on routes protected by human patrols. Captain Steve Roberts had left military service to lead the Human Commercial Federation, a massive trading organization that facilitated commerce between human and alien worlds. His cargo ships, each one larger than most alien battleships, carried goods across the galaxy under the protection of human warships. "We're seeing trade volumes that were impossible just 2 years ago," he reported to Admiral Patterson. "The galaxy is more prosperous than it's ever been." Jake nodded with satisfaction. "Prosperity makes everyone less likely to start wars." In the depths of space, construction continued on humanity's first major galactic shipyard. Admiral Susan Brooks personally oversaw the project, ensuring that it would serve as both a symbol of human industrial might and a practical facility for maintaining galactic security. "The facility will be capable of building any class of ship in service with any member species," she explained to visiting alien dignitaries. "Our goal is to make sure the galaxy never again faces a shortage of defensive capability." The alien observers were impressed by the scale of the project. The shipyard would be larger than most space stations, capable of constructing vessels that dwarfed anything previously built. "Will you be building more human dreadnoughts?" asked Admiral Zixthul of the Altarian Empire. Susan smiled mysteriously. "We'll build whatever the galaxy needs to stay safe." The truth was that humanity was already designing ships that made the original invasion fleet look primitive. But that was information for another day. Education had become another area of human influence. The Galactic Naval Academy, established on a neutral world between human and alien space, trained officers from dozens of species in modern military doctrine. Captain Tony Garcia served as the Academy's senior instructor, teaching courses on fleet tactics and strategic planning. His students included humans, Altarians, Zephyrians, and representatives from smaller worlds. The principles of modern warfare are simple, he told his mixed class. Superior technology, better training, and absolute coordination. Master these, and numerical superiority becomes irrelevant. His students took careful notes. Many would return to their home fleets as advocates for closer cooperation with human forces. The transformation wasn't limited to military and economic matters. Cultural exchange programs brought alien students to human worlds and human students to alien academies. Art, music, and literature began crossing species boundaries for the first time in galactic history. Commander Jenny Walsh, now serving as Humanities Cultural Attaché, oversaw these programs from her office on Nexus Prime. "We're seeing the emergence of a truly galactic civilization," she reported. "Young people from different species are growing up thinking of themselves as galactic citizens first, species members second." The change was most visible in the younger generation. Alien children who had grown up after humanity's emergence saw human ships as protectors, not threats. Human children learned alien languages and customs as naturally as their own. Not everything had been smooth. The Corvin hegemony, a militant species from the galaxy's outer edge, had initially refused to recognize human authority. Their fleet of primitive but numerous vessels had challenged a human patrol near the border. The response had been swift and educational. Commodore Lisa Martinez led a small task force that disabled the entire Corvin fleet without killing a single alien. The Corvin ships were left floating helplessly in space until rescue vessels arrived. "We don't want to destroy you," Lisa had transmitted to the Corvin commander. "We just want you to understand that aggression has consequences." The Corvin hegemony joined the Nexus Accords 3 months later. Admiral Patterson stood once again on the bridge of the UN Sovereign, but now the view through the windows had changed. Instead of endless rows of human dreadnoughts, he saw a mixed fleet of human and alien vessels working together on patrol duties. "Sir, we're receiving the quarterly security report," his aide announced. Jake read through the document with satisfaction. "Piracy down 90%. Trade disputes resolved through arbitration rather than force. No major conflicts anywhere in the galaxy. How many human ships are currently deployed on active patrol?" he asked. 50,000, sir. The rest of the fleet is in dock for maintenance or training exercises." Jake smiled. A year ago, he had needed 500,000 ships to establish human dominance. Now 50,000 were sufficient to maintain galactic peace. The secret was that the galaxy had learned to police itself. No one wanted to be the civilization that forced humanity to deploy its full strength again. Dr. Amy Foster published her final report on the Human Integration Project. Her conclusions were optimistic, but cautious. 2 weeks after the first diplomatic contact, Admiral Patterson decided it was time to show the galaxy what human technology could really do. The demonstration would be carefully planned to impress, without revealing everything. "We need them to understand our capabilities," he told his senior staff. "But we don't need them to understand our limits." Captain Steve Roberts received orders to prepare for the largest military exercise in galactic history. His ship, the UEN Thunder, would lead a squadron of destroyers in mock combat against obsolete human vessels serving as targets. "Sir, are you sure we want to do this in front of alien observers?" asked his tactical officer, Lieutenant Mike Davis. Steve nodded. "They need to see what happens when someone challenges humanity. Better they learn from a demonstration than from experience." The exercise took place in an empty system 3 light years from the diplomatic meeting point. Alien observers arrived in small scout ships, keeping what they thought was a safe distance. Dr. Amy Foster stood in the observation deck of the UEN Discovery, watching alien ships position themselves to record the demonstration. She had spent days preparing briefing materials for the alien observers. "Are we going too far with this?" asked her assistant, Lieutenant Tom Harris. Amy shook her head. "These species respect strength above everything else. If we seem weak, they'll test us. If we seem strong, they'll work with us." The demonstration began with simple maneuvers. Human ships moved in perfect formation, executing complex patterns that showed their superior speed and control. The alien. Observers took detailed recordings of everything. Then came the weapons test. Captain Steve Roberts targeted a decommissioned human cruiser from the border wars. The ship was 200 years old and had been scheduled for scrapping anyway. It would serve one final purpose. "All ships, target the obsolete cruiser," Steve commanded. "Fire on my mark." The human destroyers opened fire with their main weapons. Beams of pure energy lanced across space, striking the target ship from multiple angles. The old cruiser lasted exactly 3 seconds before it vaporized completely. Aboard the alien observer ships, warning alarms screamed as sensors detected energy readings beyond their measurement capabilities. Several alien captains immediately ordered their ships to retreat to safer distances. Admiral Zix Thule of the Altarian Empire watched the demonstration from his flagship, safely positioned 50,000 kilometers away. He had commanded fleets for 2 centuries, but he had never seen weapons like these. "Analysis," he demanded from his science officer. "Sir, the energy output from a single human destroyer exceeds the combined firepower of our entire battle fleet." Zix Thule felt something cold settle in his stomach. His entire battle fleet consisted of 8,000 ships. The demonstration continued for 2 hours. Human ships showed off their speed, their weapons, their defensive systems, and their coordination. Each display was more impressive than the last. Captain Helen Cruz commanded a wing of human supply ships during the exercise. Even these support vessels carried weapons that could destroy alien battleships. The message was clear. Every human ship was a potential threat. "Ma'am, we're receiving requests from alien observers asking about our cargo capacity." Her communications officer reported. Helen smiled. "Tell them we carry enough supplies to operate independently for 5 years, then ask if they'd like to know about our manufacturing capabilities." She didn't mention that human ships could manufacture new weapons, spare parts, and even other ships using raw materials. Some secrets were worth keeping. Meanwhile, Dr. Amy Foster began the first formal scientific exchange with alien researchers. The meetings took place aboard the UEN Harmony, now serving as humanity's diplomatic headquarters. "Your species is remarkable," said Dr. Klexon, the chief scientist from the Crystal Worlds. "Your technology advanced so quickly," Amy nodded politely. "We had good motivation to improve." "The raids on your colonies?" Among other things, Dr. Klexon was a crystalline being who communicated through light patterns. His translator rendered his confusion as static bursts. "We don't understand human psychology. Most species that face superior enemies either submit or hide. You chose to become stronger." "That's what our species does," Amy explained. "When we face a problem, we solve it. When someone threatens us, we become more dangerous than they are." The alien scientist was quiet for a long moment. "That's a frightening way to think. It's a survival way to think." Commander Kate Phillips worked to establish permanent human presence throughout the galaxy. Her first target was Nexus Prime, the massive trade station that served as the galaxy's economic center. "We need an embassy there," she told Admiral Brooks. "It's where all the important decisions get made." Susan agreed. "Take whatever ships you need. I want a human presence that can't be ignored." Kate arrived at Nexus Prime with a small fleet of human vessels The station's administrator, a nervous Zephyrian named Kextal, greeted her with obvious worry. "Welcome to Nexus Prime," he said, his translator struggling with his rapid speech. "We're honored by your visit." Kate looked around. The docking bay. It was huge by alien standards, but her smallest escort ship barely fit through the entrance. The station hadn't been designed for vessels the size of human warships. "We'll need expanded docking facilities," she said simply. "Of course, we'll begin construction immediately. We'll also need permanent diplomatic offices, communications equipment, and quarters for our staff." Kextal nodded frantically. "Whatever you require." Kate almost felt sorry for him. The poor alien was clearly terrified of saying no to anything a human requested. Back in human space, Captain Tony Garcia took command of a new project. The Navy was building its first major shipyard in the galaxy, a massive construction facility that would dwarf anything the aliens had ever built. "Sir, the alien governments are asking if they can visit the construction site," his aide reported. Tony considered the request. "Let them look. They need to understand that we're here to stay." The shipyard would be visible from several light years away when completed. It would serve as a permanent reminder of human industrial capability. Some alien factions decided to test human resolve through small provocations. A group of Altarian pirates attacked a human cargo ship near the border. The response was swift and decisive. Captain Lisa Martinez, now commanding a task force of human cruisers, arrived at the scene within hours. She found the pirates trying to board the human vessel. "This is Captain Martinez of the United Earth Navy," she broadcast on all frequencies. "You have 30 seconds to release that ship and surrender." The pirate leader, a scarred Altarian named Vexitar, laughed at the demand. "One human ship against 12 of ours? You're outnumbered." "Actually," Lisa said calmly, "you're outgunned." The UN Liberty opened fire with a single weapon burst. All 12 pirate ships disappeared in flashes of light. News of the incident spread across the galaxy within hours. The message was clear. Attacking humans carried a death sentence. Admiral Patterson received reports of similar incidents throughout human territory. Each provocation received an overwhelming response. Each response made future provocations less likely. "We're building a reputation," Admiral Brooks observed during their daily briefing. "Good," Jake replied. "Fear of consequences prevents conflicts, better than threats of punishment." The economic effects of human emergence rippled across galactic markets. Human manufacturing techniques revolutionized production on dozens of worlds. Human trade ships, massive and heavily defended, made piracy practically extinct on major shipping routes. Captain Jenny Walsh commanded one of the first human merchant vessels to operate openly in alien space. Her ship carried goods that alien civilizations desperately wanted: advanced computers, efficient power systems, and medical equipment. "Captain, we have requests for trade agreements from 47 different worlds," her commercial officer reported. Jenny smiled. "Tell them we're accepting applications for preferred trading partner status. First requirement, formal recognition of human sovereignty." The applications flooded in. Dr. Amy Foster published her analysis of human-alien relations, a document that quickly became required reading for diplomats across the galaxy. Her conclusions were simple but revolutionary. "Humans represent a new paradigm in galactic civilization," she wrote. "Previous major powers rose through conquest or economic dominance. Humans rose through preparation and capability. They don't need to conquer anyone because no one dares to challenge them." 6 months after their arrival, the human fleet had fundamentally changed the galaxy. Fear had given way to respect. Respect had led to cooperation. Cooperation was building something entirely new. Admiral Patterson stood on the bridge of the UN Sovereign, reading reports from across human space. Trade agreements signed. Diplomatic relations established. Security guarantees negotiated. "Sir, we're receiving a formal invitation from the Galactic Trade Federation," his aide announced. "They want humanity to join as a founding member of their new Security Council." Jake almost smiled. 6 months ago, these same aliens had never heard of humanity. Now they were begging for human protection. "Accept the invitation," he said. "But make it clear that we join as equals, not subjects." The galaxy had learned to respect human power. Now it was time to learn the benefits of human partnership. On the 7th day, Admiral Jake Patterson finally broke the silence that had gripped the galaxy. He stood in the communications center of the UN Sovereign, looking at a message he had written and rewritten dozens of times. "Send it on all frequencies," he ordered. The message was simple and direct. "I am Admiral Jake Patterson of the United Earth Navy. We seek dialogue with the established governments of this galaxy. We will await your representatives at these coordinates for 72 hours. Across the galaxy, alien governments received the transmission with a mixture of relief and terror. Finally, the humans were talking, but the message raised more questions than it answered. Ambassador Kexathara read the message for the 10th time. 72 hours, she said to her staff. "What happens after that if we don't show up?" Nobody had an answer. The coordinates led to an empty area of space, far from any inhabited system. Admiral Patterson had chosen the location carefully. It was neutral ground, equally distant from all major alien territories. Captain Lisa Martinez stood on the bridge of the UN Harmony, watching the human fleet reposition itself. Her ship had been selected for the diplomatic mission because of her background in alien studies. She was nervous but ready. "All ships are moving to defensive positions around the meeting point," reported her navigation officer. Lisa nodded. The human fleet was forming a perfect sphere around the empty space, creating a protected area for diplomatic talks. Any alien ship approaching would have to pass through layers of human defenses. "Ma'am, we're detecting incoming alien vessels," announced Lieutenant Sam Cooper. On the tactical display, small dots appeared at the edge of sensor range. The alien ships were moving carefully, obviously worried about triggering a human response. "Let them come," Lisa said, "but maintain full combat readiness." The first alien ship to arrive belonged to the Altarian Empire. Ambassador Zixandra commanded a sleek vessel that looked like a work of art compared to the blocky human warships. But as her ship entered the human defensive sphere, she couldn't help but notice how small and fragile it looked next to the massive human dreadnoughts. Captain Tony Garcia commanded the escort wing tasked with protecting the diplomatic meeting. His ships surrounded the alien vessel, close enough to destroy it instantly if needed, but far enough away to avoid seeming threatening. "Alien vessel, you are cleared to dock with the UN Harmony," he transmitted. "Welcome to human space." Zixandra felt a chill at those words, human space. They were claiming this entire region as their territory already. More alien ships arrived over the next few hours. The Crystal Worlds sent 3 representatives. The Zephyrian Collective arrived with a full diplomatic team. The Galactic Trade Federation brought their best negotiators. Each alien vessel looked tiny next to the human ships surrounding them. The message was clear without being spoken. The humans could destroy every alien ship present without breaking formation. Dr. Amy Foster worked frantically to prepare the meeting space aboard the UN Harmony. The cargo bay had been converted into a diplomatic chamber, complete with translation equipment and seating for multiple species. "Are we ready?" asked Captain Martinez. Amy nodded, though she looked nervous. "As ready as we can be. I've studied these species for years, but I've never met them face to face." "What should we expect?" "They're going to be scared," Amy said honestly. "But they're also proud. Don't be surprised if they try to act stronger than they actually are." The meeting began with formal introductions. Lisa Martinez represented humanity, flanked by Dr. Foster and a small security team. Across from them sat representatives from 12 major alien civilizations. Ambassador Zixandra spoke first. She was tall and elegant, with blue skin and large dark eyes. "We welcome you to our galaxy," she said carefully, "though we must admit confusion about your sudden appearance." Lisa smiled politely. "We've been here longer than you might think. We've simply chosen to remain quiet until now." The implications of that statement hit the aliens like a physical blow. How long had humans been watching them? What else did humans? "No? What do you want?" asked the Zephyrian representative bluntly. The question everyone had been afraid to ask hung in the air. Lisa looked around the table at 12 terrified faces trying to look brave. "We want what any civilization wants," she said. "Recognition as a sovereign power, protection for our people and territories, fair treatment in trade and diplomacy." The aliens exchanged glances. That was it? No demands for tribute? No territorial conquest? No submission to human rule? Ambassador Kexathara leaned forward. "That's all?" "That's everything," Lisa replied. "Humans have learned that in this galaxy, only the strong are respected. We've become strong so that we can live in peace." The Federation representative, a slug-like creature, named Vloth, made a gurgling sound that his translator rendered as nervous laughter. "Peace? You brought 500,000 warships to ask for peace?" Dr. Foster spoke up. "We brought 500,000 reasons why you should say yes." The alien delegates spent the next hour asking questions. They wanted to know about human technology, human territories, human intentions. Lisa answered some questions directly and avoided others completely. "How many worlds do you control?" asked the Crystal World's ambassador. "Enough," Lisa said simply. "What is the range of your weapons?" "Adequate for our defense needs." "How many more ships do you have?" "Sufficient for our purposes." The non-answers frustrated the aliens, but they got the message. Humans would share information on their own terms. During a break in the talks, Amy Foster pulled Lisa aside. "They're more scared than I expected," she whispered. "Look at their body language." "They're expecting us to make impossible demands." Lisa nodded. "What do you think they'd do if we actually tried to conquer them?" "Probably surrender without a fight. But that's not what we want, is it?" "No," Lisa said firmly. "We want partners, not slaves." When the talks resumed, the alien tone had changed. They were no longer asking what humans wanted. They were asking what humans were willing to accept. "We could arrange for human representation in the Galactic Trade Federation," suggested Vloth. "We could establish formal diplomatic relations," offered Zixandra. "We could create protected shipping lanes for human merchants," added Kexathara. Lisa listened to the offers with growing satisfaction. The aliens were competing to give humans what they wanted. "These are good starts," she said. "But we need guarantees, not promises. We need treaties, not verbal agreements." The negotiations continued for hours. Slowly, the framework of a new galactic order began to take shape. Humans would be recognized as a major power. Human territories would be respected. Human ships would have free passage through established trade routes. Captain Tony Garcia monitored the talks from his command ship. "How are they doing in there?" he asked his communications officer. "It sounds like the aliens are falling over themselves to make deals with us," came the reply. Tony smiled. "Good. Nothing like overwhelming force to make people reasonable." As the first day of talks ended, the alien representatives returned to their ships to consult with their governments. Lisa Martinez watched them go, then turned to Dr. Foster. "What do you think?" Amy looked thoughtful. "I think we've already won. The question now is what kind of victory we want." "What do you mean?" "We could crush them completely, make them afraid to ever challenge us again. Or we could build something better, a galaxy where strength and cooperation work together." Lisa looked out at the human fleet surrounding them. 500,000 ships, each one a testament to human determination and preparation. "I think," she said slowly, "we've had enough of being afraid. Maybe it's time to help others feel safe, too." The first day of negotiations had gone better than anyone expected. But everyone knew the real work was just beginning. 3 days passed without a single word from the human fleet. The silence felt heavy across the galaxy, like a storm that refused to break. Alien governments found themselves jumping at shadows, waiting for something that never came. Fleet Admiral Susan Brooks stood in the command center of the UEN Sovereign, watching reports flow in from her intelligence teams. She was a short woman with sharp eyes and graying brown hair. For 15 years, she had planned this moment. "What are they saying about us?" she asked her intelligence chief. Commander Kate Phillips looked up from her datapad. "They're calling us everything from gods to demons, Admiral. The Zephyrian ambassador thinks we're here to destroy all organic life. The Altarian Emperor believes we're testing their defenses before an invasion." Susan almost smiled. "And the truth?" "The truth is that they have no idea what humans are capable of when we put our minds to something. The human fleet maintained perfect formation, but underneath the calm surface, thousands of people worked around the clock." Dr. Amy Foster bent over her analysis station aboard the science vessel UEN Discovery, studying intercepted alien communications. "These species have been at peace for too long," she told her assistant. "Look at these military reports. Most of their ships are designed for police work, not real combat." Dr. Foster was a small woman with curly red hair and thick glasses. She had studied alien cultures for 20 years, preparing for this day. The intercepted messages painted a clear picture of a galaxy that had forgotten how to fight real wars. "The Zephyrians haven't built a new warship in 50 years, she continued. "The Altarians use their military mainly for trade route protection. None of them have weapons that could seriously damage our armor." Her assistant, Lieutenant Tom Harris, looked worried. "Does that make us the bad guys?" Amy shook her head. "It makes us the survivors. When those alien raiders hit New Dallas, did they care that our colonists were peaceful farmers? We learned the hard way that the galaxy isn't safe for the weak." Colonel Pete Johnson walked through the Marine barracks of the UEN Defiance. His soldiers were checking their equipment for the 100th time, preparing for boarding actions that might never come. Pete was a big man, built like a tree trunk, with scars from the border wars against alien raiders. "Sir, intelligence reports that alien fleets are gathering at Nexus Prime," reported Sergeant Lisa Brown. Pete nodded. "How many ships?" "About 15,000 from 6 different species. They're calling it the largest military gathering in galactic history." Pete almost laughed. 15,000 ships sounded impressive until you remembered that humans had brought 500,000. The math was simple and brutal. "Keep the men ready," he said. "But I don't think we'll need to board any alien ships. They're scared, not stupid." From her position aboard the UEN Vigilant, Commander Kate Phillips coordinated the largest intelligence operation in human history. Her teams were spread across the galaxy, gathering information that confirmed what many had suspected. "Admiral Brooks, you need to see this," she said over the communication link. Susan's face appeared on the screen. "What do you have?" "Complete analysis of alien military capabilities. The results are overwhelming." Kate sent the data file. Charts and graphs showed the stark reality. The most advanced alien weapons were barely equal to human technology from 50 years ago. Their fastest ships were slower than human cargo haulers. Their armor couldn't stop human small arms fire. "How is this possible?" Susan asked. "They've been civilized too long," Kate explained. "When you don't fight real wars for centuries, your military technology stops advancing. They've been focused on trade, diplomacy, and internal politics. Meanwhile, we've been preparing for war since the first alien raid." The alien response was predictable, but slow. Admiral Zixthul of the Altarian Empire tried to establish communication with every human ship individually. His messages went unanswered, but human computers recorded every word. Captain Tony Garcia commanded a wing of destroyers on the fleet's outer edge. His ships were among the smallest in the human fleet, but each one carried more firepower than an entire alien battle group. "Captain, we're being scanned by alien scout ships," his sensor officer reported. Tony looked at the tactical display. A dozen small alien vessels were trying to get detailed readings on human ships. They stayed far outside weapons range, clearly terrified of getting too close. "Let them scan," Tony said. "The more they learn about our capabilities, the less likely they are to do something stupid." His first officer, Lieutenant Jenny Walsh, looked concerned. "Sir, should we be worried about them learning our weaknesses?" Tony shook his head. "What weaknesses? Our scout ships are more powerful than their battleships. Our supply vessels have better armor than their flagships. The only thing they're going to learn is how outmatched they are." The intelligence reports painted a picture of growing alien desperation. The Galactic Trade Federation was calling emergency sessions every few hours. The Crystal Worlds had recalled all their merchant fleets to home ports. Even the normally confident Altarians were moving civilian populations away from their border worlds. Dr. Amy Foster continued her analysis of alien psychology. The patterns were clear in their communication intercepts. "They're not used to feeling helpless," she reported to Admiral Brooks. "These civilizations have been the dominant powers in their regions for thousands of years. The idea that someone could appear who is so much stronger than them doesn't fit their world view." "Is that good or bad for us?" Susan asked. "Good, mostly. They're more likely to negotiate than fight. But we need to be careful. Desperate people sometimes make desperate choices." Captain Steve Roberts patrolled the fleet's perimeter aboard the UEN Thunder. His ship was part of the early warning system, positioned to detect any approaching alien forces. So far, the aliens had kept their distance. "Sir, we're picking up a massive communication burst from Nexus Prime," his communications officer announced. Steve listened to the intercepted message. The alien coalition was trying to coordinate their response, but they couldn't agree on anything. Some wanted to attack immediately, others pushed for surrender. A few suggested trying to negotiate. "They're falling apart," Steve observed. "Fear is making them turn on each other." His tactical officer, Lieutenant Mike Davis, nodded. The Zephyrians are accusing the Altarians of bringing this threat down on everyone. The Federation is blaming both of them for not sharing intelligence about humans. Good, Steve said. A divided enemy is a defeated enemy. Meanwhile, Captain Helen Cruz supervised supply operations from the UEN Prosperity. Her cargo ships carried everything the fleet needed to operate independently for years. The aliens had no idea how long humans could maintain their position. Captain, we're receiving requests for supply drops to our outer picket ships, her logistics officer reported. Helen checked the numbers. Approved. Make sure our scouts have everything they need. I want this fleet to look as fresh on day 100 as we did on day 1. The psychological warfare was working perfectly. Every day that passed without human demands or threats made the aliens more nervous. They had expected ultimatums, invasion fleets, or at least some kind of communication. Instead, they got silence. Ambassador Kexathera hadn't slept in 3 days. The stress was showing on her purple skin, which had turned almost gray with worry. Her staff worked frantically to find any information about these mysterious humans. Have we learned anything new? She asked her aide. Very little, Ambassador. They appeared from unknown space. They have technology we don't understand. And they're not talking to anyone. Kexathera stared at the tactical display showing the human fleet. Each red dot represented a ship that could probably destroy her entire home system. The scale of the threat was beyond anything the galaxy had ever faced. Keep trying to establish communication, she ordered, and prepare evacuation plans for our core worlds. The weight of human silence was crushing alien confidence across the galaxy. Without demands to refuse or threats to counter, they could only wait and worry about what these powerful strangers wanted. Admiral Brooks smiled as she read the latest intelligence reports. The plan was working perfectly. Sometimes the most powerful weapon wasn't a gun or a bomb. Sometimes it was simply making your enemy afraid of what you might do next. The warning alarms screamed across the Zephyrian command center. Ambassador Kexathera's 4 eyes widened as she stared at the massive display screen. Numbers flashed red everywhere. Her translator device struggled to keep up with the panic in her voice. How many ships did you say? She asked the young technician. 500,000, Ambassador. All appearing at once from hyperspace. Kexathera felt her 3 hearts skip several beats. In her 200 years of life, she had never heard of a fleet that large. The biggest military force in known space belonged to the Altarian Empire, and they only had 50,000 ships total. The technician's hands shook as he worked the controls. They're all the same design, massive vessels, each one bigger than our largest battleships. They're arranged in perfect formation. On the main screen, the image zoomed in. The ships looked nothing like any known alien vessel. They were dark, gray, angular, and covered in weapon systems that made Kexathera's skin crawl. Each ship displayed strange markings that the computer couldn't translate. United Earth Navy, the technician read slowly. That's what their identification signals say. Earth? Kexathera had never heard of this planet. Run a check through the galactic database. Minutes passed. The computer searched through records of every known world, every civilization that had ever made contact with the galactic community. The result came back blank. No records found, Ambassador. Admiral Jake Patterson stood on the bridge of his flagship, the UEN Sovereign. Through the massive viewing window, he could see endless rows of human dreadnoughts stretching into space. Each ship was 2 kilometers long and packed with the most advanced weapons Earth could build. Status report, he said calmly. Captain Pete Williams stepped forward. All ships have completed the jump successfully. We're holding position at the designated coordinates. Long-range sensors show heavy alien communication traffic throughout this sector. Jake nodded. He was a tall man with gray hair and tired eyes. He had spent 30 years preparing for this moment. Ever since the first alien raiders had attacked the human colony on New Dallas, Earth had been building in secret. Any response from the alien governments? Multiple civilizations are trying to contact us, sir. The Galactic Trade Federation, the Zephyrian Collective, the Altarian Empire. They're sending messages on every frequency we're monitoring. Ignore them for now, Jake said. We maintain radio silence until I give the order. He walked to the tactical display. Red dots marked alien fleet positions throughout the sector. Most were small patrol groups or merchant convoys. Nothing that could threaten even a single human dreadnought. They're not ready for us, he said quietly. Captain Lisa Martinez stood in the communications center of the UEN Liberty. Her ship was part of the forward scout wing, positioned closer to alien space than the main fleet. Radio chatter filled the air as her crew monitored alien transmissions. "Captain, you need to hear this," said Lieutenant Sam Cooper. He was young, barely 25, and this was his first deep space mission. Lisa walked over to his station. "What do you have?" "Emergency broadcasts from multiple alien governments. They're calling emergency council meetings. Some are evacuating. Civilian populations from border worlds. Are they planning to attack us?" Sam shook his head. "It doesn't sound like it. They seem more scared than angry. Listen to this transmission from the Federation Emergency Council." The alien voice came through the translator with obvious panic. "Unknown fleet of massive size has appeared in Sector 7. All civilian traffic is advised to avoid the area. Military forces are requested to maintain defensive positions only. Do not approach the unknown vessels." Lisa smiled. "They're not treating us as invaders. They're treating us as a natural disaster." On the bridge of the UEN Justice, Lieutenant Commander Ryan Burke reviewed the mission files one more time. The orders were clear but simple. Establish humanity as a major power in galactic politics. Ensure the safety of all human colonies. Make sure no alien civilization would ever again think humans were weak. "Sir, we're detecting alien scout ships at the edge of sensor range," reported his tactical officer. Ryan looked at the display. 3 small alien vessels, probably trying to get a closer look at the human fleet. They were staying well outside. "Weapons range. Let them look," he said. "The more they see, the better they'll understand what they're dealing with." The alien scout ships were tiny compared to human dreadnoughts. Ryan's ship alone carried enough firepower to destroy a small planet. The Justice was just one ship in a fleet of 500,000. He thought about the history lessons from his academy. Days. For 200 years, humans had lived in fear. Alien raiders would attack human settlements, steal resources, and disappear back into deep space. The galactic community ignored human complaints, treating Earth as a primitive backwater world. That time was over. Across the galaxy, alien governments struggled to understand what was happening. The Altarian Emperor called emergency meetings with his military advisors. The Crystal Worlds Federation began evacuating their border colonies. The Zephyrian Collective tried desperately to establish communication with the human fleet. All received the same response: silence. In the depths of space, Captain Helen Cruz commanded a wing of human supply ships. Even these support vessels were larger and more heavily armed than most alien warships. She watched as her cargo holds were checked and rechecked. The fleet carried enough supplies to operate independently for 5 years. "Captain, we're receiving updates from the Intelligence Division." her first officer reported. Helen read the brief. Human agents throughout the galaxy had spent decades gathering information. They knew the location of every major alien military, base, every government center, every important trade route. The aliens had no idea humans had been watching them for so long. "Begin Phase 2 preparations," she ordered. The alien panic continued to spread. On Nexus Prime, the galaxy's largest trade station, merchant ships began fleeing in all directions. The station's defense force, 12 aging patrol boats, seemed pathetic compared to the threat they now faced. Admiral Patterson finally spoke to his senior staff. "Gentlemen, ladies, we've waited long enough. The galaxy knows we're here. They know we're strong. Now we let them wonder what we want." He looked out at his fleet once more. 500,000 ships, each one a masterpiece of human engineering, the product of centuries of planning, building, and preparation. In 72 hours, we begin negotiations. Until then, we wait. Let them think about what it means to face humanity when humanity is ready for war. The galaxy had gone silent, not because the humans demanded it, but because no one knew what to say to a species that could build such a fleet and keep it secret for so long. In the quiet of space, 500,000 human dreadnoughts waited like sleeping giants, ready to reshape the balance of power forever.